It's not for the weak, girls, if I'm honest. It was hard. I don't know if I'd recommend it. It's just a different feeling. I don't know how to explain it, like it feels intense.
Like more intense than you thought it might?
Definitely.
Sorry.
Okay. Just take
Yeah, 1 minute.
All right, guys, welcome back to LD Live. This topic that we're talking about is a very sensitive topic. If you are a child and you are a minor, please pause the video and go find your parents, because we want to be sensitive to that. This is not for everyone. Also, this is a sensitive topic, and why are we talking about this? We're not discussing this to shed any light on this issue. We are talking about this because it's not talked about enough in the church, and there's so many people in the church, even pastors, dealing with this issue who are familiar with the platform. And if we go talk about it and point back to Jesus, who solves all these problems, then the problem stays. So this individual right here, her name is Lily, and she's an OnlyFans model. Now, I did not know that OnlyFans is not just adult content. It's kind of like a Patreon website where, you know, people show up, and you can be a musician or some other content creator, and people can subscribe to you, or there's pay-per-click to review content.
I'd feel weird to put a ministry on there. Like, follow us on OnlyFans. People might get the wrong idea.
Because of the stigma.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why OnlyFans became so adult-focused is because, I guess, during COVID, people were looking for more ways to make money. On OnlyFans was a way to make money very quickly. And of course, there's a huge audience for adult content. And yeah, so Patreon is open to like some stuff like this, but like it says it can't be any stuff.
Not that open.
Not that open at all. And so OnlyFans is really the place that people go to. So Lily got into the news for like, I don't know, a good month right now, about that she apparently had sex with 100 men in one day. She wanted to try it out. It wasn't the record, but she wanted to try it out.
Yeah.
And it's really sad how disconnected she is from all of this, from the emotional, spiritual side of intimacy. So Russell Brand, who recently became a Christian, he actually spoke to her about this issue. And I'm not sharing Russell Brand videos because we fully endorse Russell Brand. It was just a really interesting interview. And I actually really appreciate some of the things he said to her. So let's take a look at the first clip.
There's kind of no way that anybody could be fulfilled. Like, it's interesting when I speak to, I guess certainly before everything got on top for me in the United Kingdom with documentaries and attacks and stuff, like young men would say to me, "Oh my God, what's it like? What's it like to be able to sleep with as many women as you want to?" And I would sort of say it's kind of in some ways really, really amazing, but it's amazing mostly to know something that most people will never know, that you cannot be fulfilled by the pursuit of carnal pleasure, that sex is not an object in itself, but a condiment, a kind of an accompaniment to love. And also sex is the act of the creator. It's the act of creation, creating life. I believe that sex is pleasurable because it's the act by which we create life. It's when we are perhaps most like God. And to misappropriate and misuse that power is transgressive, and to use a sort of a bit of an old-fashioned word, sinful. I wonder what you think about this, Lily. For men, just from if you didn't believe in God, from a biological perspective, men sleeping with lots of women kind of makes sense because a man don't get pregnant, a man's not going to bear the responsibility. A man, if he wanted to, could just leave and his genes are passed on, his job's done. For a woman, the act of sex carries a potentially quite a high sort of price, as well as a potential for a great blessing of pregnancy. And I wonder how you feel about how the act of sex could ever be anything else for you again. This is not an absolute argument because we all do things when we're young that would not be appropriate when we're old, full stop. In particular, with regard to your attitude towards sex, can you imagine sex ever being sanctified again and an expression of unique and special love between you and someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with?
Not in that way. Like, I believe in having multiple partners. I don't believe in monogamy. That's the right word. And so not really. I think sex can be special, but it doesn't necessarily mean like you have to just have sex with this one person for the rest of your life and make love and, you know, you're only having sex to have children.
I really wonder if, obviously it's her brand, so she's going to promote something that is in line with what she's thinking. I don't know if she'd be dead honest with you right off the bat with like, I feel awful and it makes me cry. In fact, I've seen videos of this girl crying.
Yeah, she did cry.
Yeah, the clip of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the same thing. I think you're right. Like, would she be hypocritical if she came out and said the other?
Yeah, you're right. No, I'm not fulfilled during this. And I would hope that I would make it special someday because it's not really special right now. I have a hard time believing that she's going to say that right off the bat. But I think if you were honest, it's just human biology. Like they're not wired to do that. It's sad.
Yeah. And I did a little reading on this story. I didn't want to read too much, but she talks about some of those encounters, and it's like they're not really spending that much time together. It was just like, there wouldn't be anything, I guess, desirable or special about it. It's just like all focused on some record. And it's like, well, it's empty.
Mm-hmm. So we interviewed that guy that was like Ron Jeremy's producer. Remember him, John?
Yeah, John.
And I remember him telling me that the first porn that he actually worked on, he went outside and threw up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was like, this is disgusting and I should not be watching this. And it was this sort of like evil feeling that he felt. And then from there, I've seen interviews with some of the male guys that have turned around and become Christian and stuff like that. And they describe the suicidal thoughts that they would have. And these are guys that you would think would have no connection to this whatsoever. You'd expect the girl to act like that, but a guy, you wouldn't think he'd be remorseful at all, and that's not the case.
Joshua Brune, he's one of the more well-known converts, so to speak. He was suicidal as well.
Yeah.
And then he God saved his life. He actually met a girl who became his wife, and now he's a pastor with kids, and he's like, I couldn't live a better life.
I think at the end of the day, we're all chasing something better, for lack of a better term, and we chase it in different ways. And so many people come to realize at the end of the road, there is nothing else. Like, it doesn't get better. Mm-hmm. Just like people who, they get high, and that first time it's really great. And they keep chasing that same experience and they never get it. So they move on to another drug or another drug or another drug. This is the same kind of thing. And it's never satisfying. Mm-hmm. And I think that only comes with Christ. We're built that way. And so if you try anything else, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Porn is wrong. And if you kind of had a daughter, you have a daughter.
I do.
And if that was your daughter saying these kind of things, how would that make you feel?
It'd break my heart.
It'd absolutely break your heart. And I think most normal people, when I mean normal is like people that grew up in a loving environment. Mm-hmm. I understand if you're abused, you're going to view this totally different. But in a loving environment, what is sexuality at its core? If you just distill it down, it is a relation-based activity. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you remove the relation-based activity out of that equation, then it's like nobody cares for you. Who doesn't like to be cared for?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not the end all be all in the relationship. It's an activity that bonds you together for sure, but it's not the end all be all. And so if it's
built on that, if
it's built on that, it's going to fall apart because it's not the only thing holding you together.
Right. But in a ultimate expression of love with each other, God gave us this beautiful gift that was supposed to be shared to bring two people really close together. That's why it's like outside of the bounds of marriage is not what God wanted for any of us, because he's saying, I want this special thing that's going to bring you together. You got all these challenges in life, and this will glue you together. And when you cheat the system, even if you're just a passive viewer of pornography, you're cheating the system. And plus, add on the top of that the complexity, if she ever does realize how many people's lives she's influencing and potentially ruining.
Yeah.
Well, also because there's another girl called Bonnie Blue that's her friend. It's like another porn star on OnlyFans. They work together a lot. And she even said, I can do it better than your wife. Like, they just know what they're doing. They know they get husbands in there. It's ruining their lives.
And yeah, it's a really sad state of affairs. I'm actually saddened when you see a girl like this, and it's just like, oh, just somebody tell her that you love her. You know? Yeah. Like, I don't think that these men that are showing up for 1 minute love her.
No, they don't.
And that's the other thing. Like, intimacy is something that is God designed it to be something that you give. You serve your spouse. It's not about, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to get the job done and I couldn't care less, you're an object. So that's really what you're going to start seeing some of that.
If you actually listen to interviews of girls that have been in the porn industry, they didn't even like men. They didn't even, it's not enjoyable to them, this activity. And it's like they can say they want to all they want to, but it's acting. They're acting.
Yeah. If they're going down this road of like, I can do it better than your wife, I think it's probably appealing to a subsection of the population that their relationship is broken. And so like they go to this woman and it's like, she seems like she's into him, guys, they want reciprocal, like they want their wife to be into them. That's just normal. And if you're in that broken relationship and you find somebody who's like, I can rock your world or whatever, that's going to be appealing on a biological level. But at the end of the day, better, like it's not, the mechanics work the same no matter who it is.
If you read the Bible verse that says, like her feet are in like hell, but she's like drawing you in with her lips or whatever like that. I can't remember the exact verbiage of it. But if you really honestly believe like this person right here is going to bring me to lose my salvation, would you think twice?
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah.
And for her, one day down the road, I don't know how long it's going to take, but what kind of regret is she going to have?
Well, I praise God that Russell Brand was bold enough to say what he said to her.
Yeah, well, he said a few more things, so let's take a look.
There's two things I'm really interested in. One is the impact of sex and sex for money and sex as performance on your soul, you Lily Phillips, on your precious soul and your spirit. And also all of us as human beings, like me, everyone, like what it does to us if we start to use sex as a kind of currency. But one thing I wanted to bring to you is like, my wife actually was talking about someone she knew where there was an exercise or fitness instructor who was also on OnlyFans. When I heard that, this is what I felt, mate. I was like, whoa, like that means, like, I'm thinking about myself when I'm 17. Like, if it would have been possible that you could sort of see a mum at a school or a teacher or anyone actually, and then somewhere else you could go and pay money and see that person take their clothes off and perform the most intimate things. I don't know what would have happened to me psychologically. That's just so overwhelming and so ridiculous and so exciting. But also, it's reducing everybody to a kind of object.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree.
Which I think this goes back to the topic of love. If you're really searching for the real definition of love, the vampire movie is often using the element of love, but is it really love if they're willing to suck your blood and take your life, right? That's not really love. That's called lust. And lust is, I'm going to take something from you. Mm-hmm. And in this type of situation, love is a reciprocal two-way street, right? And that doesn't mean like you give me money and I'll do whatever I like you want, right? That's not the definition of love. That's not reciprocating. And so this, by definition, I think is a very selfish thing to do. It's all about you. the gratification of the person that's watching them. And then also for her, she didn't care about you. She didn't care about if your marriage got ruined, if your wife cries every day because you're sitting there fantasizing about other women. She doesn't care about that. She cares about how much money am I going to make.
Right.
It's a selfish act.
Yeah, I saw this video that, and I decided not to include in the show, but I didn't see any good reason to do that. But I saw this clip where she was on TikTok and she was like, yeah, so everybody, this is so-and-so, and he won the giveaway, and he's going to come into the bedroom with me. And it's just like a random dude who's like, yo, what's up? And she's like, oh, and Keep Rock, his missus. And she's like, hi. But she's going to stay right here, and we're going to go to the bedroom now. And I'm like,
what? Like he's married?
no, it's girlfriend.
Oh, my. Oh.
And I literally just sat there for 30 seconds just not knowing what to say.
I mean, obviously it's a huge red flag, but that relationship is not going to be the same.
No.
It's not going to last.
Just imagine knowing, like it's already bad enough when you're a wife or a girlfriend and you know your partner or spouse is cheating on you. But let alone that they just walk off in front of you and go into the room and come out and he looks all like, we just had the ride of his life, with her. What?
Yeah, it's sad. It's really sad.
That's what you're saying, right? Like, this kind of stuff breaks relationships. And that's the reason why I want to talk about this topic, because it's not just like, because some people might be watching this and say, well, I'm not going there just to sleep with her. I'm just watching her or anybody.
Yeah.
But the Bible says that if you lust after a woman, it's like committing adultery. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's
He just put a price on his girlfriend.
pretty much.
I mean, essentially. He just put a price on the relationship and said it's worth this much.
It's less valuable than what
It's less valuable than what I'm about to go do for, a minute or 2 minutes or whatever it is.
That's why I always thought it was sad when like you hear how much a celebrity's worth, right? And they say, oh, this person's worth $20 million or whatever like that. And they'll do whatever for $20 million. That's sad. You're infinitely valuable. Mm-hmm. And it's like, even $20 million. Yeah, that sounds like a lot to you, but infinite's way more than 20 million.
Yeah, have you guys ever seen this John 3:16 movie with Train or something? It's pretty old. You guys never seen it? It was a short film. And it was basically about this dad who, I'm just paraphrasing here, he was like a train conductor, or he worked on the train tracks, and there was a train coming and his son was near the train tracks, and he has to make a decision. Am I saving everybody on the train or am I saving my son?
Oh, yeah. Heard the story.
Yeah. And he made the decision to sacrifice his son for the sake of the people on the train. But that's what God did. Mm-hmm. And that shows you the value that he places upon each and every one of us.
Yeah. It's a really good documentary. We saw it. I'm trying to think of the title of it. The father and the son. And they play violin together. And do you remember? Maybe you didn't see it. I know I saw it. Anyway, father plays a violin, son plays a violin, and then the son gets enticed to go after this woman he keeps seeing, beautiful woman. So he leaves the father and goes after the woman all the way into gets in this lake with her, right? And going to the water, and she comes out, and it's this terrible dead skeleton, right? Mm. And he's taken off and held captive in a cave, and he just remains there chained. Violin gets busted, broken, all that, until the father goes to seek him out, find him, unchain him, bring him back, and he had been building another violin for him to play again. But it just shows he was chasing after this thing, which was just death.
Was this the heart of man?
The heart of man, that's what it was. He just didn't recognize it, but it was death. It looked nice.
I need to watch that. I've seen clips of it, and I've never seen the whole thing, but powerful documentary.
Oh, yeah. It's very good. So, and obviously it's a metaphor, right? It's an allegory for this whole thing of, whether it be pornography or sexual intimacy or, what have you. It kind of hits everything in that realm if you think about it. But yeah, very powerful lesson. Very well done.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see what she what her reaction was after she actually slept with 100 men.
When, you know,
Yeah.
have you even processed, do you think, what's happened?
Not yet. I won't forget the stage.
When I decided to start making this documentary, I wasn't too sure of what to expect. I certainly didn't expect to see Lily so upset at the end of it all. I thought perhaps in years to come she may look back at this day in sadness, but not so instantly afterwards. She had stressed to me throughout my time with her how excited she was for this challenge and how this was her fantasy, so to see her so visibly upset at the end of it all was really sad. But my confusion was only added to in the days following our filming with Lily, as she announced to her fans that in February of 2025, she would be sleeping with 1,000 men in a single day to break the world record.
Last week I did 101 guys. Now this was just the warm-up, because in February I'm going to be the first person ever to reach 4 digits of guys all in one day. Yes, 1,000 guys.
Maybe what we witnessed that night was just someone overwhelmed with emotion after completing such a monumental challenge. Or maybe we saw the true toll this career can have on a person.
Okay, so did she end up doing it? Her co-star, Bonnie Blue, actually broke the record and did before Lily did. She slept with 1,000 men in 12 hours. 23 years old from the UK. 1,057 men.
I'm saddened.
Yeah. I can't imagine that her reaction would be any different.
No, it wasn't actually. She was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm feeling great. And I'm like, I don't understand.
You know, I imagine that it's a lot like kind of doing drugs. You become so numb to the effect of that. You know, the first few times that you do anything that you know you shouldn't be doing, you're going to feel remorse for it. But the more that you kind of venture onto that ground, you become soulless. And I mean, think about, once again, I'm going to bring it back to the other people, the 1,000 guys who that hopefully maybe someday they'd be married, and their wives are like, you did what? With some girl? Like, yeah, and it's like, yeah, your parents, can you imagine your parents, your mom, your dad doing anything like that? Like, I can't even imagine.
And what did she get out of it, you know? It's like, did they give her anything?
Yeah. I saw a video with Russell Brand, which was very interesting. I think it was Russell Brand. Maybe it was Ruslan, I can't remember. But they were like, well, how much money are you doing this for money? Like, is there an amount of money that you're trying to do? And she was like, no. I don't know if you've seen that clip either, but it was like they were basically going, look, if I offered you this type of money to go and make marriage counseling videos, would you? And it was like, no, I still would do this. And that's sad.
I'm thinking of, there's this girl in the UK. Years ago, I came across her testimony. I think she had some kind of a background like this. So she was sharing this visual, this image, this idea of, imagine that you're in a house and these men, they knock the door open, they come in with their muddy boots, you just mud everywhere, right? Your fire goes out in your fire pit, they eat up all the bread and they leave. And they do this over and over and over again. You're just cold, and you have no bread, no fire. And all of a sudden, there's a knock on the door. Nobody ever knocks. And you open the door, and there's Jesus. And he comes in. He's like, can I come in? Come in. And he starts mopping your floor with his own blood, cleans everything up, lights the fire again, and fills the bread, and sits with you, and just comforts you. And she's like, that was my experience with Jesus. And she said, the other one was my experience with men. And I was like, but that's what God offers both women and men, right? Like, men who watch pornography. Like, for me to do research, I felt depressed. Just to, like, look into this. It's like, I'm going to keep looking at this stuff. Like, I wasn't doing, research, like actually watching the OnlyFans stuff. I was just Googling, like, what's going on and all that kind of stuff. And I just felt depressed. And I'm like, looking up articles about these people. Let alone if you're actually watching this stuff or participating in this stuff. It's just not how God designed us. And it's designed by the enemy to destroy everything God has made good.
And let me put it this way too: when you watch it, you support it. If there's no audience for it, you don't put your stamp of support on it. So I know it's difficult. I know it's challenging. I'm sure every single person at least has been confronted with this at some point in their life. It used to be just a men problem. Now it's quite very heavily a women problem. And it's like we have to get a handle on this and stop supporting this. This is ruining people's lives.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's see how Russell Brand wrapped it up with Lily in his interview.
I reckon what it is, Lily, is say, like when you become aware of someone in the environment, you get an initial impression of them. And if someone's doing something as striking as you're doing, it's difficult for me. I feel like a sense that I want to reach out to you a little bit, because I suppose when I was younger and before I was married and before I had children, I suppose if I'd heard of you, I would have been happy to see you as an object and not to investigate that any further. But as a adult man and as a man of God, how I see you is a fellow child of God. And part of me feels like I wonder if there is any way that I can offer you some protection or service or counsel.
I would hope that anybody would have this reaction. And I think if you began to look at every single one of these people as not an object, as an actual sad thing. Have you ever seen the videos? This video was so powerful. They had interviewed an adult star. She was talking about, what it was like and this and that and stuff. And then the interviewer said, "How would you like people to see you?" And she just broke down and she just started crying. And she said, "I want people to see me as a mother of 3 children, that all I want to do is provide for my family and this and that." And it's like, that's what she wanted people to see her as. And none of these people in this business saw her as that. Yeah. And it was just like, man, you can see this person just wants to be loved. And so I think it's awesome that Russell Brand was offering this to her.
I like the fact that he offered to, he wanted to protect her. And, he's coming at this later in life, and he's probably old enough to be your father and that kind of thing. But it should be any of our response, no matter what age. But to say, let me shield you from this because he recognizes, this is doing you harm. It's damaging you. I want to protect you from it.
You don't see it in your early 20s, but you'll see it when you're my age and married and wish that you hadn't had these experiences.
Yeah. It's sad.
I really like what she said. How do you want to be seen as? And I think that's the takeaway from this video. If you want to be seen as a child of God, run to God, But if you ask yourself, what is the reason that I either watching porn or I'm involved with it or I'm acting it? What's the reason? But we dig really deep. I think most people just want to be loved, like you said.
And what's really amazing is probably him offering that, even though she didn't take his offer at this moment. I guarantee you, if everybody else objectifies her and she never hears that she's valuable or that she needs to be protected or anything like that, that sentence right there is going to stick with her.
You wonder, you just wonder, if somebody came in and was like, "I want to protect you, how much to get you to stop doing this?" And they offered her just a check, just name your amount.
That would be beautiful.
And it would be pretty awesome. Here, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna save you. You're doing this for money. So what's it gonna take? We'll just take care of it, and you can be done.
I wish I was a billionaire.
Wouldn't it be awesome if you could do that with people?
That's a brilliant idea.
To speak to the other though that you're getting at, I think people, they just get caught. You think about things that you've done in your past and you get caught and you don't know how to get out. You don't know how to escape. You don't know what to do. And so you keep doing it. And people don't, like you said, they don't run to Christ. We have that same reaction. Every human being has that same reaction as in the Garden of Eden. They're running away. And God's the one running after us. And if we turned around, we'd bump into him because he's right there. And so, I don't think we can come here and say, well, I have all the answers. No, I don't have all the answers, but I know the one who does have the answers. Amen. And that's Jesus. And if you have a struggle with this, if you have a struggle with anything, just go to Jesus. You can pour your heart out to him, and he can heal you. He can deliver you. He can change you. He can do it for anybody. And I think that's the solution. So
can you imagine if Jesus showed up to her, like the woman at the well, and was like, go get your husband. I don't have a husband. I just did 1,000 guys.
Yeah.
And he's like, Jesus were to go out of his way, meet her in Vegas or wherever she lives. That's what he's willing to do.
Yeah, and the Bible talks about that God wants to cover our nakedness with his righteousness. We are never too far gone for God to want to do that. We are never too sinful. And we might be end up in the gutter. He's like, I got you. Will you open the door? He'd say yes. He cleans it all up with his blood, covers us with his righteousness, and just sits down and comforts us.
Yeah.
That's Jesus W, sir.
Yeah. If you like this video,
comment, subscribe,
and hit the notification bell so you know when we launch new videos.
And drop a comment below, and we'll try to get back to you if we can.
What?
Say that again.
No.
No, I don't know what to say.